Morning folks, and welcome to this demonstration of my Omega Speedmaster Professional Quartz watch. Now, the Speedmaster was famous for being the moon watch, the watch that the astronauts wore when outside the spacecraft on the moon. And it was the only watch approved by NASA for extravehicular activity. They first started using it on the Gemini missions and used it on the Apollo missions and continue to use it to this day. So this is the LCD version, which is the rarest of all of them, and this actual version's got the Moonwatch case. This is the sort of case that the mechanical watch had, although this case is slightly smaller. And this is the rarest of the LCD versions. Most of them are a sort of square shape, and it was only available in 1976 and part of 1977, and they didn't make very many of them either. And it's called a Speedmaster, but whereas the original mechanical watch has a tachymeter scale around the outside to measure speed, obviously you can't do that without second hand, but they've still called it a Speedmaster. But then some of the functions it shows it has might help explain that. So it doesn't actually, the chronograph functions don't work in quite the way you might expect, and I'll show you what I mean. So to get into the chronograph mode, you press this button 3 times, and so far start, stop, and reset. That's all pretty much familiar functionality, but what is different is the way the split and the lap times work, so I'll just demonstrate that. So with the stopwatch running, if I do a split, it freezes the time display for 7 seconds, and then but in the background it's carrying on to count, so it's got up to about just under 14 there. And so it's kind of a bit like the lap time mode you have in a modern digital. And then you've got the lap time, and how that works is when you press this, again it freezes the display for 7 seconds, but what it's done in the background is actually reset the chrono and started it off again, which, you know, if you were doing a circuit lap, for instance, you know, you'd want to time immediately from the end of the last lap and start the new lap. So that makes actually quite a lot of sense. So just stop that and reset it, and then put it back into time mode. And the other thing, which I've never seen on another digital watch, is that you can actually operate the chronograph from the main time mode. So when you do that, you can see this little stars appeared, so it's in the showing that the chronograph's activated. And when it's flashing like that, it means the chronograph's running, and you can start and stop it in the normal time mode. So I'll just prove that by going back into chronograph mode, and there you can see it's actually some time has elapsed there. So that's a useful function. You don't have to put it into a chronograph mode to time something. The other thing it does, at the moment it's showing the time and the seconds and the day of the week, but if you press this button once, the seconds change into the date, and then if you press it again, it'll change back to seconds. And the other thing you can just make out, it says there in tiny letters, Swiss made, which is a nice little touch. So there you have it, the Omega Speedmaster Professional Quartz from 1976. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Cheerio.